actually spring flowering our lounge room again, right? So I do this once every often. And while we're spring flowering, I've got a few colors that I want to really share that I've really now selected from the garden, right? And while we have selected a few of these lovely colors, and while I'm now gonna really do this decor, and while I can't now really zoom the video much in, let's quickly check. That's right, that's a little zoomed in. That's a little bit better. So I'm quickly going to do that, right? We're not gonna get the proper zoom in angle. Last time what I've revealed, right, and what I had available was now this setting, right? This is a lovely centerpiece setting, right? I know all of the soul sells this setting also. And I know all of the fashion designers designs this setting. And this setting is now specifically by my table mountain portrait in the lounge room, right? So I'm wearing a lovely sword. It's spring, it's windy. I had a lovely Christmas film on already. I had a lovely Christmas film on. And I really am now again doing the centerpiece, right? The spring birds were tweeting lovely this morning. The weather is lovely. It's windy for the beach. A very nice afternoon for the beach. I'm one of those people that really now when I go to the beach, oh, look at the auntie next to those lovely flowers. It looks lovely. Her flowers are a red pink. Oh, it looks lovely. Her flower tree, yeah. So when I'm one of those people, when I go to the beach, right, then I'm very selective to how do I want to sit at the beach. And it's one of those things that when me and my husband got to the beach many years ago, every time we got to the Cape Town beaches, then we take quite a while before we were now really settled. And I know for every family, it's sometimes the same when you get to the beach because you really just want to enjoy the beach moment, right? You really just want to enjoy the beach vibe. And when we got to the beach, if it's windy, then I would be a little bit odd. I'm now not one person that goes to the beach to wear a jacket at the beach. But we learn over the years that the afternoon sunset breeze are very fine. And I remember when me and my husband met many years ago, and then we were the very first date on the beach. And we were actually, it was in the evening, and we had a sunset evening at the beach, right? And so is our seasons that we are now selecting and saying that New Zealand finds themselves in the spring season with South Africa. Other countries find themselves in the lovely autumn fall season, right? And I got my lovely autumn pants on, and I got my lovely autumn boots on. I'm really not in America, but it's now really almost autumn season. And winter season is not really, it's not really almost, winter is almost gonna begin in UK, I know. And when winter season is now in December, and UK is now really preparing for that lovely winter weather. And the lovely hot days is now really getting a little bit cooler. And for us in New Zealand, we have got similar weather as South Africa, right? So I'm doing this based on that sunset that now never was now setting. The sun was setting, but I was now not wiped out when the sun was setting, right? And that's where we're at when we decorate in our spring season. So that's where I'm at when I select and say that I'm not really sitting on the beach and it's not really getting windy. And I'm not one of those people, if it's windy on the beach, then I don't want to be on the beach. When in actual fact, when it's windy on the beach, you take a warm blanket with, thank you, hi. We are talking beach seasons, right? Thank you for joining us. We're talking beach seasons. And when it gets windy on the beach, when it gets cold on the beach, when it gets wintry on the beach, and then we now really, then I want to get up and I want to already, thank you for the kisses, thank you for the love, thank you for the hugs. And then I now really sometimes really want the beach moment to now already be over. Now I've learned in this house, it's windy, the beach are close by. And it's not too close by, but it's the weather that I find, right? And that's where I'm now selective to how do I now design in the house? What do I now wear in the house? How do I keep the curtains open? There's one curtain of me that has broken and I really want to fix that curtain. And it's the lace of my lovely festive curtains. But other than that, it is that we are selective about in our seasons, and I'm very selective too. And those beach moments that I really love, the warmth of the beach, and that's what we see on our winter season, the winter warmth, right? Winter warmth, it's beach weather, it's Auckland, New Zealand, and it's always everywhere beach. So it's always the beach wind blowing in. So what I'm doing is, this is one of the centerpieces. This is by my Table Mountain setting where I used to go to Cape Town beaches, and it was quite a drive for us to drive from Park Community to Cape Town beaches. And it was always something very special. And when we get to the beach and it's windy, then we sometimes don't know what to do because we're actually coming to the beach to enjoy the warmth of the beach seasons, right? So here with our AWOKH International, we learn a little bit different. We learn a little bit different to what I would choose and what I would prefer. So nowadays, the afternoon at the beach, most preferably when you are visiting Auckland, New Zealand, right? Another thing about this lovely process that we are now lovely decorating. We are doing a few of these lovely decors. This is one flower that reminds me of so much. So we're gonna centerpiece this flower, right? And this is one part of the internationalness of our seasons. This is just decor on the table itself, right? This is one flower that reminds me of a lot. It reminds me of kindness. It reminds me that this one day means so much. That this one day are so special because these flowers, it buds easily and then it fades away very easily in its day, right? So once you have selected it, you only have that flower available then for that day, right? And that flower is that love education of this day that means so much. And this is our lovely leather flower. And this flower reminds me of celebrating seasons internationally while I'm actually in spring season. And thus we got now, this fell from the tree now, and this reminds us of the countries that are now in autumn, the countries that are now preparing for winter, and the countries that are now fashioning with us international, right? And that's where we're at with that. Another, I'm just quickly going to share that. Another love of the season that I love, right? Is this RIBEA, ELISE. I love everything seasons. And this is what I call on my Christmas table, my cauliflower cheese. And this tree is outside, and this tree is next to this tree, right? And once we do all of these flowers lovely, then we're gonna share a little bit more. So these two trees are next to one another outside. And when I'm reminded now of my cauliflower cheese tree, this reminds me of the cauliflower cheese on my Christmas day. This flower is the tree outside that reminds me of the garlic potato herb with a lovely oregano and a lovely mixed green herb. And that are actually a dried herb, lovely with olive oil, lovely either grilled in the oven or either pan grilled in the lovely garlicky oily flavor. And that we eat together with your cauliflower cheese, together with your noodle cheese, and together this reminds us of the beetroot. I've just watched the film now, Christmas with a View, and that's this tree is with the beetroot with the feta cheese on Christmas Day, right? And that's the season, right? Together, the season there. This comes from this leather flower of autumn season comes from this tree, right? This is my cauliflower cheese tree, and this is my Christmas Eve. I know I've made this dishes in the year December 2022, right? And I made this Christmas Eve because on Christmas we had salads, and I'm one person that loves my salads on a Christmas day, and that loves my cold meat on a Christmas day. So this was Christmas Eve. And I think I've made not the cauliflower cheese with this, but the mushrooms, not mushrooms, the seafood in the lovely cream sauce, right? And I've accomplished it with the lovely grilled potato that are now having your baby potatoes with the potato peels on, with the green herbs, with the garlic, with the olive oil. And that's that. And this leaf that comes from this flour is now the beetroot with the feta cheese, and that combines that season. And that's where we're at. We're starting our seasons, everyone. And that's where we are at with celebrating our Christmas seasons, right? And that's what we want to actually say when we are actually wanting to say what are we doing in a season, right? If I now really say right what I want to say, translate right what I'm wanting to say, right? So we're gonna centerpiece that in that. Let me quickly do that. So that's the flower that I've now explained. Look at the lovely weather and the lovely wind, right? So that flower we're gonna now put into this pot, right? And keep yours water by, because once you're decorating for seasons, right? And I actually love the water to be on the table, because once I'm busy with decorating for seasons and I walk by and I just want my water, then I just want to drink my water. I'm drinking a cup of black tea because I really love to drink black tea. And that's where we are at with our one centerpiece. So this centerpiece actually, and this you can take those those flowers that didn't pop out and that are still fresh. You can take it out and you can put that there. That goes with the Cape Town Table Mountain. If y'all go on vacation on Cape Town Table Mountain, enjoy every part of the vacation, right? And that's that centerpiece. That goes there. That flower comes there. Those flowers are going to be in that pot. And the other flower is actually going to be in this pot. Let's check if we can see the next door neighbors. This lovely flower. The red flower. Okay, we can't now really see that red flower. This AWOKH. Hi, AWOKH. AWOKH is the whole time appreciating with us. And these are lovely too. And that's actually what. Good morning, Assad. And that's actually what we're actually talking about when we are decorating for the season. That's the lovely one tree in front. That's where we get the pink flower at. And those are the other lovely colors that we share, right? Now I'm going to do, I'm quickly gonna do the centerpiece. Look at what happens with that lovely one flower. It's exactly staying in like all the other flowers. And it exactly acknowledges what's there. Oh man, that's a lot of another centerpiece. This week. I know this space so far. 3 daffodilities. Bit of that happening. What have we got? Let's quickly share a video. So we're only doing that. We've got this right. I love this. So that's all we're doing with those 3 daffodilities, right? Those 3 daffodilities go to that side, or it can either stay in this side, but I love it to accomplish this side of the house, right? And that's where I actually want it, because that's actually where our seasons are at and where I'm at with fashioning in our seasons, right? Let's quickly do that. We're going to share a photo now of that. Looks lovely, right? I love everything about that flower. I love everything about where it's at in the room, right? Next to our AWOKH. Our AWOKH corner looks a little empty, but it looks fine. So I love everything of the colors of that. I love everything of the season of that. I'm just going to quickly add a little bit onto our pink centerpiece. And if you love flowers and you love decor, and you love to decorate, and decorate with us. Let's quickly add a little bit. Don't shout wow while I'm closing. It looks lovely. Oh, it's great stuff with now. That's lovely. Everyone, that's now what we have now accomplished with this lovely corner. So let's add that green thing also. With this lovely centerpiece, right? That's all that we have accomplished so far. It looks lovely and I love it. You love it. It even looks nice from this side of the house, right? Look at how lovely it looks. I love it. It's only about 4 or 5 flowers on one right hand. Everyone would say, look at how pretty it's over there, looking lovely. Everyone would say on one right hand, this is not really only 5 of those lovely flowers. And on this lovely table, we can still do a lot. We can still add something onto that side of the table. We can still add something onto this side of the table. And we can still do a lot with lovely, lovely centerpiece, right? And we can still accomplish a lot. And look at how lovely spring hat here. Look also at how lovely picnic thingy tree, and at how lovely rainy chair. Chair was raining with a lot. So now we're quickly going to check what else do we want to add. Or what else do we want to do together with that? Lovely, I love it. Okay. Let's check. Oh, nosy. We did it out of flower pot. I realized that for that table, clean. Oh, we have another flower pot. That's right. Okay, what to be thinking about this. I was thinking about this. lovely beach windy atmosphere that we have. Oh, that. Yeah, I don't want to eat too much on that table. That's right. A lovely beach atmosphere that I've got happening here. One thing about the lovely beach atmosphere is we are still actually doing a lot with about fashion. We haven't done stronger yet. We are gonna prepare the video for stronger, or we are gonna put our combination motivation together for that. We want to do self edition 3. I haven't done that video yet of self edition 3. Self edition 3. What did I hear the other day? The 4 seasons. Yeah, the 4 seasons of that. Our AWOKH motivational book. Our AWOKH motivational book are and would be available for order. Email AWOKH, AWOKH at outlook.com. That's where you get orders. If you want to invite me to come and do your flower decor, then do so. I would be delighted to do your flowers. Offices in Auckland, New Zealand, you can invite me to do yours weekly flowers also. Email awokh at outlook.com. Another lovely thing about our stronger motivation are coming through. Our motivation video for this year, our 4 seasons self edition 3 are coming through. We're doing the lovely white shirt with that, the long white shirt that I had on my 40th birthday. Remember the 4 seasons that we as human beings have been introduced to on this earth, that to us are the autumn season, everything that I've discussed just now in the video, the autumn season, the winter season, the spring season, the summer season. And for me, RIBEA ELISE, it begins at the spring season, the summer season, the autumn season, the winter season. My birthday is in the month of November. My brother Anton's birthday is in the month of September. He's the baby of the house and I'm the baby. He's the baby man of the house and I'm the baby woman in the house, right? And his birthday begins in the month of September, right? There's 7 babies in the womb. Me and him are the babies in the womb, right? And he's the male baby and I'm the woman baby. The man baby and I'm the woman baby. And his birthday as a man is in the month of September. And that means a lot to me. The first in my mama Anna Philander's womb was baby Joanna and she was a woman. And that means a lot to me also. And it means a lot to the womb education. And it means a lot with the journey that we journey on being human beings on this earth, right? And while we are celebrating the 4 seasons with our self edition 3, I'm going to do the white shirt, the pink pants, with the black shoe, with the white shirt that I had on my 40th birthday, the 4 seasons, the 40 year for me, what it means to me. We're gonna do that video and that motivational video in our self edition 3 coming through, right? After the self edition 3 videos, we are preparing the videography of those motivational videos into the self motivational books, right? And that we would have available. And once we have all our cell phone communications, all our audio communications, right? Then we would do the self edition 1, self edition 2, self edition 3 in the podcast, and that would then be available also. Everyone can put their orders through if y'all want to buy our self products, our self edition Edition 1 products, our Self Edition 2 products, and our Self Edition 3 products, right? We are going to prepare those Canva designs for the Self Edition 1, 2, and 3 products. If you want to know a little bit more of the products, then please send us some details. The more sales we get on the products, the more faster we would work on getting those products ready, right? So while we have the self-motivational t-shirts are also available, that's part of your AWOKH package. And what I also inspire when I do my fashion, when I do my inspirational, motivational business, when I do my educational social media journeys, then I inspire people to buy the AWOKH t-shirt, to order the AWOKH t-shirt, to journey the journey with us. Not only with me, RIBEA, ELISE, but to exactly understand what does the mom woman means amongst humanity, right? What do we as human beings, what do we present on this journey that in seasons, it is explained in 4 seasons, but the journey means so much to us, right? And we're going to say a little bit more in the podcast about the 4-0 journey, about acknowledging ourselves on this journey on earth, right? About how to not lock you out of this journey on earth, about how easily as human beings we can lock ourselves out of this journey on earth, right? When people don't acknowledge your work, when people don't contact you, when people don't pick the phone up to buy from your products, and then it would be easily for you, a businesswoman, to give that business into someone else's hands, right? Once you realize and you look through my social media page and you realize, but me, RIBEA, ELISE, really don't have a lot happening there when it comes to views, when it comes to likes. And once me, RIBEA, ELISE, give my work into someone else's hands, and when you look at my social media page and you look at how well I present my Mama Anna Philander, Mama Universe womb on this earth, how well our household presented the womb, then by no means does anyone just give that up to an Instagram owner that now wants to not share your work with people, to people that now just doesn't want to press like because maybe they want to own the work, right? Because it's now been quite a journey. The work are quite directed very clearly on my social media pages, on my Instagram pages specifically. And on such a journey, you now really do not give up on yourself. Giving up your business means you are giving up on so much of yourself. Once you get to know what my business AWOKH means, right? Once you exactly get where are we at with business women in the international world, then you will exactly understand the meaning of not giving up on you, the person. If people don't acknowledge and recognize you and everything looks so perfect and right and no one seems to be on there and no one seems to respond, then you do not give up on you, the person. And that is what this journey means. That is what Mama Anna Philander, Mama Universe house means. That is what my Mama Anna Philander's birth womb means. It means that so easily we look at a world that find themselves in so much wars and aggressions. We look at people that the education, the number one education on this earth, are that people are giving up on one another. But as acknowledgement to you, the person, acknowledgement to my Mama Anna Philander, Mama Universe womb, we educate and we learn that you do not give up on yourself. That the education of a generation of people that has educated themselves to give up on one another has become such an easy education amongst humanity. But as the human beings, me, RIBEA, ELISE, can see it clear that my journey that I present and represent are everything RIBEA, ELISE, everything Mama Anna Philander, Mama Universe seasons. I call it an a motivation of our New Year's resolution, January 2024. I call it the everything you seasons. And that when people don't echo your name, and when you can't hear that echo of how many videos, how many posts, how many fashion book Saturdays, how many fashion book Sundays, and that just doesn't echo, then you get what you are saying. If other people doesn't echo along with what you are saying, then you allow yourself, I've mentioned in our 2023 year, you allow yourself you. You allow yourself you in everything that you present, in everything that you do, in everything that you represent on this earth. As women, as human beings, we have to allow ourselves into the room of ourselves. Sometimes, allowing yourself into the room of yourself doesn't echo in someone else's ears, but allowing yourself to present and to represent. This is what we educate in what we call color, in a generation of color seasons. This is what we represent in what we educate, and what we call ourselves part of the 4 seasons journey, being human beings. And we learn that so many human beings are struck down in wars on one day. So many babies find themselves looking at us when they are in wars. So many people find themselves questioning. Someone mentioned at one time, are there no help on this earth? Are there no assistance on this earth? And when you look at my AWOKH business and at my social media page on Instagram, and you hear what echoes amongst humanity, are we then alone on this earth or in this universe? That we find ourselves so inconsiderate sometimes. That we do not prepare our springtime, I've said earlier, to only celebrate it with ourselves. We do not prepare our Christmas time to only celebrate it with me, RIBEA, ELISE at my table. We do not appreciate anyone that plans their Christmas and that does not acknowledge another people or another country in the international world. Around our Christmas table in South Africa in AWOKH Street, we had the excitement to always have had someone staying in our house. Someone always found a safe place in our house in South Africa. Even unto these years, someone always comes to knock and say, is there a place for me to stay at? And we have 3 bedrooms today. And we learned this lesson when I was a young daughter in AWOKH Street, Chicago, South Africa. And while everyone said, and someone sent me a post the other day, and they said, I was staying at your house in AWOKH Street. And remember, your mama are my mama. And after years, I have forgotten. And when we learn that on this earth, while everyone are doing Christmas preparations, while the Ukrainians, the Russians, the Israelites, the Palestinians, the people in wars and arguments in Africa, people in wars and arguments in Iran, in Iraq, in all of the international countries, we as Christmas celebrators have a responsibility. People today working in offices where they have to share their Christmas motivations, their Christmas cards, their Christmas gifts. The gift is for everyone in the international world. When the Chinese government sends those Christmas boxes to South Africa, when they send it to Europe, when they send it to America, it is meant for every country. When New Zealand gets their Kmart goodies, there's goodies made for the whole international world, and New Zealand has got double in their stores. I went to New Zealand Christmas goodie stores of Kmart for how many numerous years. And other countries' goodies are staying in New Zealand. Why? Countries are waiting on their stuff, and it goes bulk to certain countries. And in New Zealand, there's not so much people as much as there's Christmas goodies that come to this country from China. So while we have a responsibility in the international world, and while so many people have disregarded other countries in their Christmas celebrations, in the Christmas communications, I said something earlier today after I've watched the Christmas film, Christmas with a View. And I've watched the film in the year 2022, and the film speaks about a lot. And Palestine was then ending into war because people was watching the film while I was also watching the film. And the film did not mean anything about wars. The film meant so much in our generation. The film meant that there's cities being built, there's Christmas trees. The actor in the film, I've met him in so many people. When I was in 2004 in Dubai, I've met him. He was one of the people in South Africa that I've met, that I've traveled from. Most families of us that have all traveled from Muslim countries. And I've met the actor, the one guy's name is Barry. And Barry I've met when I was working at Oostenburg Lodge, and he's working for City of Cape Town Council, South Africa. And while all of those Muslim countries, families have traveled to South Africa for a very good reason. They have a responsibility that is acknowledging themselves in all these processes. South Africa have a responsibility to acknowledge all of those processes of all of our families that have traveled there. And to make sure that all the countries of our families get the information about Christmas celebrations. And not only Christmas celebrations, but after Christmas celebrations, the year 2024 celebrations and communications are coming through to countries. And after I was watching the film, and someone manipulated that film, and they started the Palestine and Israel war. Someone watched the film and they listened wrong. And those films does not mean war. It means this was a journey, and it was a fine journey. And the journeys were preventative to wars. And while people are trying to manipulate the world so much, I've mentioned something very important earlier. I said New Zealand and South Africa, while y'all are on the telephone, working on your Christmas music for the end of the year. And while South Africa is calling into New Zealand, and there's so much of the international world sitting in New Zealand waiting on their processes. And we are not the people waiting on the processes, the countries are waiting. South Africa find themselves fine today, so South Africa does not have to wait for any processes. There's countries that my mamas and my grandmamas are from that are in poverty today. And they're waiting on those communications, and we all sit in these houses and offices in New Zealand, and those communications need to get through. So while New Zealand have a responsibility today, and while there's so much Muslim countries, people that are also in New Zealand, and while we have all been called here so that the processes can go through in a way that are fair and fine to every international country. And while the film explains that this country that we live in, New Zealand, have leaders, yes, but the country is now not someone else's house only. That us that has been called to certain countries were called because there's certain international processes. And so is every country that all of us from the international world have traveled to. And if my national country is South Africa and I've been called to say New Zealand, then there's a reason that my universe are busy with important processes. And the processes are now really, really acknowledging every part of the earth's processes. The processes are now really not only for this country or that country. That while the person in the Christmas in the Christmas film was now receiving a gift of the journey on earth. And the journey now has brought his parents to a certain house. And today that house to us is a country that we all find ourselves at, being in the international world and not staying in our own countries. And some of us in our own countries, our parents have traveled from somewhere. And while the journey is a house today for every one of us, we have a responsibility today, everyone on this earth, to acknowledge every part of process in this house. And that when some people travel to New Zealand, it was to get the key for certain processes. When certain people of South Africa find themselves in Dubai, Dubai is building office for every country, and it is to get the key of their country's processes. So while the key are being handed to certain countries, we do not want any disturbances. Well, Israel Houghton has sent a film through last week, a television program. And while Israel, the country, are also waiting on their Christmas communications. And while the South African colors looks like Israel Houghton, the District 6 colors. And while they also do the afro, there's a difference I've mentioned earlier. That Israel Houghton, the person, Israel Houghton, he's the baby. His family might also be from Israel, but there's a baby process there. And when Adriani's wife stands next to him, and Beyonce also is waiting on a Christmas party details, then no one do disturbant Christmas parties. Because the communication in the international world are sensitive. And once Adrian is Israel Houghton's wife. And while Israel Houghton's name is Israel, in the country Israel are waiting for their communications. And Israel Houghton looks like the colored men of Cape Town, South Africa, with their big afro hair. And they look like Cuba, and they look like any country. And then the communications are gonna be clear. No one is gonna manipulate no one's processes. I've shared that video on a few weeks ago, a month ago, about Christmas communications that's gonna go to every country. And no country are going to be deprived from their communications. Because when the Chinese government gets that data statistics and their angel keys do all of the Christmas goodies, then they are accounting the earth and the goodies goes through for every country. And therefore, while Angelina Jolie was running out of Ukraine, because Angelina Jolie was now also in the film of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, RIBEA personally watched the film with Dorian Roder, and it was talking about Christmas goodies and the Christmas stores and the Christmas trees. And I went through Kmart in the year 2022, and I saw in Kmart the complete communication. And those communications need to go to the right countries. So we would appreciate if no country manipulates those communications. Because Zelensky can't also, and Ukrainians can't sit in war and be punished for other people's communications. And so also for Palestine and Israel, they can't be punished for people that disrupt the communications. So also for countries in Africa that are waiting on their Kmart goodies, that are waiting on their Christmas goodies. Let no one manipulate the communication. And when South Africa sits and they work with New Zealand on the Christmas music in the country, then let them do it in a way that are kind to everyone that stays in the country. And let none of them send messages around that are not fine for the people of the international world. In New Zealand, all those Kmart orders, don't order just enough Christmas goodies also. And may everyone learn to do patient clear every season. And that is it, everyone. We do not want to be too serious. Watch the films. It's called Christmas with a View. Is the one film that I've now watched. I want to share more details. The more we are gonna get closer to that discussion. I was working at Whakarangaroa, and I've shouted loudly sometimes about Whakarangaroa, but they were also communicating important informations, and we were also talking about Christmas, and someone was sitting in the office. It was Faith from Philippines, yes, and I've worked with Philippines people in different offices, Philip Morris at Whakarangaroa, and then at Access Able. So that's where I've worked with Philippine countries people. They're also in the country. We were in one office because it's the same processes. And while Nakai was now the only human resource manager that was now in the office acknowledged from Philippines at the office that I was at, and the other officers, Faith was an administrator here, a data capturer. That means the process can sometimes be a little bit hindered if Philippines are in the office, if they are maybe in poverty, and if they need their processes, and they have been called to the New Zealand office, and they are now not on a directory level. Then they might not get the acknowledgement sometimes in certain processes. But one of the Philippines managers was at Philip Morris, and she was the human resources manager there, so that those communications can go through thoroughly. Access Able, yes, there was also Philippines there at Access Able. There was a lot of countries, people also at Access Able. We were a lot from different countries, and so is New Zealand officers. Another thing yesterday that was coming through on New Zealand television, That was now a normal television program, but it talks about Pakistani. So I was working with Pakistani women in Stamford Plaza. I was working with Pakistani women at Menzies Aviation, not at Menzies Aviation, but the person was now working at Auckland Airport also while I was working at Menzies Aviation. And then the person was now also at the airport at the time that I was there, in the airport that I went for lunch at the airport, right? And while I went for lunch and I met the same person, and it was now a Pakistani communication. And we were now all at Stamford Plaza. And the Jackson family in at Stamford Plaza, and there was really maybe a lot in the discussions because they were having a concert in New Zealand, and we were employed at the office, and we are now from a certain country, and South Africa's processes are almost now most of the time fine. And I was now from South Africa, but my mama Anna Philander is, like I explained, Mama Universe in the every processes in the womb itself. So the communications is the whole time everywhere around our family, right? And while I was now sensitively from South Africa, but my grandmama Martha from Africa, the acknowledgement of those processes. Another thing about Pakistan, then the Pakistani cricket player teams. Pakistan looks like my brother Anton, he's the baby, and when they are the baby men, I call it the baby son. In the film Christmas with a View, he's also the baby son, and he's also Brian McKnight, and they're sometimes not the baby, but the communication I explained as the baby, right? And while he was now also in the film presented of Christmas with a View, he's the baby in the processes. Pakistan is the baby in the communications, and the communications are so clear. And I now really met the Pakistani person more than once. And I was working at Menzies Aviation, and the aviation had also someone in the offices of human resources from Pakistan. Then that means Pakistan's communications. And I said something yesterday after I was watching the film. I said, can the community of Pakistan quickly be explained to the Pakistan cricket teams that exactly work hand in hand with Brian McKnight, that now is the Color of Love film and not the song, but the Color of Love song is someone else. The film Chris with a View is one of Brian McKnight's songs. And when countries doesn't know what the process means, and I'm explaining, then America has learned to walk next to RIBEA, ELISE, or next to me, RIBEA, all these years while I was walking my journey without being next to me in person. And they were actually next to me because our mamas also and our grandparents traveled to America, our ancestors traveled to America. And when America was always Googled in on me, and they know when they Googled in on me, then it means when I'm there, then it means this to them and that to them. And not every country knows how to put all those colors together. Then we would appreciate if the Color of Love song that goes hand in hand with the Pakistani person that was employed with me at Stamford Plaza, that goes hand in hand with the Pakistani person that was employed with me in Menzies Aviation, and that goes hand in hand with the Pakistani person that I saw on the airport. There is also Menzies Aviation, is Auckland Airport, and the Pakistani person that was then the same person of Stamford Plaza that was now also at the airport. Then the cricket Pakistan team sometimes have a communication and they don't know what it means. The color of that communication is sometimes not so clear. Then if the teams of the Color of Love song can just explain to the Pakistani cricket team or the political leadership team what that communication means. And why was RIBEA in the office with the Pakistani person? What processes were they given? What processes, Stamford Plaza processes means Dubai processes, it means hotel processes, it means office processes, it means motor vehicle communications. And once I know a little bit about the information because I've then been called to Dubai also. And then the Pakistani communications can then quickly be explained thoroughly to the Pakistani sports teams, also to the Pakistani political leadership house. The sports teams works next to American sports teams, and that's why we say the sports teams, because they exactly knows the colors all by its color itself. And not everyone knows when you were with RIBEA in one office and you're now in New Zealand, and America has built offices all around RIBEA the whole time, then how does someone else build the office? And where does the process derives from, right? And that's actually what that Pakistani employment communication means. No one hinders no one's communications. Make sure that all those communications go through thoroughly. Celebrate what AWOKH business is. And that's our AWOKH business speech, Peggy. And then celebrate also with us with our AWOKH business motivational t-shirts. If you think twice and think that there's so much happening, can you order from RIBEA? Is this a fine process? There's so much happening in the world, and the world learns to order from one another, because every day someone are being educated that there's so much happening in the world, and everyone must order from everyone. And that's it, everyone. Let's make it easier for everyone with all these processes. Have an amazing spring season with me, RIBEA ELISE.